James Enstrom, followed by John Reed.
Well, thank you very much for letting me speak. My name is James Enstrom. I'm a research professor at UCLA. I've been conducting research at UCLA in epidemiologic studies for the last 36 years. I'd like to raise a couple of epidemiologic points about the planned air pollution research. In quoting a sentence from the first proposal that you have, Health Effects of Central Valley Particulate Matter, it says, air quality standards for particulate matter are based on epidemiologic studies that cannot demonstrate causality, and current understanding of the biologic basis for epidemiologic associations is incomplete. Well, I find this a very important sentence, and it amplifies upon submissions that I've made to the board along with a dozen other scientists during the past year and a half, emphasizing the need for more complete understanding of the epidemiologic evidence relating particulate matter to premature deaths in the state of California. And I think this is an essential aspect of the research program that you have, and there should be more emphasis on this. There have been a number of disturbing developments since I made a presentation to a number of board members personally last December. It's been uncovered now that the Scientific Review Panel on Toxic Air Contaminants has not had a legally appointed epidemiologist since 1994. This includes the time period in 1998 when diesel particulate matter was declared a toxic air contaminant. Also, I've had great difficulty dealing with the epidemiologists that the board relies on and the staff relies on, persons like Professor Michael Jarrett at UC Berkeley and Professor Arden Pope at BYU. Myself and a number of other scientists have tried to deal with these professors and determine current evidence on the relationship between fine particulate air pollution and mortality, and we've been basically stonewalled and treated very unprofessionally. And I think it's up to the board to exert more supervision on some of these issues that deal with such important economic issues. And I hope you'll do so. If this is not done by the board, then persons like myself and others are going to continue to press this, and we're going to re-educate the 38 million citizens of this wonderful state, because I firmly believe in honest science, and I expect it to come from the Air Resources Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Reed.
Good morning, Board. I'm Dr. John Reed. I'm a practicing physician in San Diego. Earlier in my life, I was also an analyst for the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion under C. Everett Koop, where I worked quite a bit with the Office of Technology Assessment to look at the health effects of emerging technologies. As my practice as an anesthesiologist, I'm sort of a one-man wrecking ball for the environment. I pump out nitrous oxide and volatile organics all the time. So it's in my personal interest to try to find other ways to help clean up the environment so that my grandchildren can have an environment they can inherit. I'd like to go a little further on what Dr. Sperling has to say. You have research that is subject to scientific standards, and it has to be publishable. But by the time that stuff gets to you folks, it's been synthesized. And what you get is not up to that sort of standard. The study these folks are talking about that affects a lot of people in this state was run by a person who told ARB what it wanted to hear in order for that person to get their job. That person was in charge of what actually physically got in front of you. So can you trust that that person really gave you something other than what he thought you wanted to hear? So my suggestion, to go along with Dr. Sperling's, is that when you get synthesized reports, that they are held to the same scientific standard that I was held to when I presented to Congress, when I presented to C. Everett Koop, anybody else who makes powerful decisions that affect people's lives. On to what Mayor Leverage has said. Economics make big difference in people's lives. When you look at your own vulnerable population study from 2005, what does it show? It shows one thing over and over again that it can actually point to as there being a strong correlation. There are strong negative health effects to negative socioeconomic status. Right now, we are making decisions, you're making decisions that have major socioeconomic impact. When we take away jobs, we definitely have negative health effects. I would suggest that we're looking now at doing retrospective. We've passed legislation, we've passed regulations. Let's retrospectively look at what the economic impact was. Let's look at what the wrecking ball was. Let's look at the damage backwards. Well, let's not do that. Why don't you put a self-imposed moratorium on any further regulation until we have the economic impact studies, until we really know how many children are going to fall below the poverty level, how many more incidences of asthma and the like are going to be caused. Not from particulate matter, we don't know, but we know that if those folks fall below a certain socioeconomic status, we're going to see a higher incidence of asthma. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. William Davis, followed by the last speaker, Michael Lewis.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the board. This is the 12th time in the past 3 years that I've had the honor and privilege of visiting with you, and over that time I've acquired a really deep respect for your service and your commitment and for your willingness to listen to reason. We have had conversations on the portable regulation that led to changes. I don't know if any of you remember Amber Parsons in that group, but that was a powerful improvement for our industry. We had conversations about the impact of the off-road and on-road rules on the crane industry, and you all made changes based on that. We had conversations just a month or so ago in San Diego about the changes required by the state legislature, and we appreciated your actions in following that legislative directive. Today, I'd like to talk about what our industry sees as a serious deficiency in the research package that's before you, and is, as you may have heard already, a serious dearth of research on economic impacts on your regulations. Until you come up with a research package on this topic, I'd like to commend to you and your staff a study that was released Monday by the California Small Business Administration. This study was commissioned by an act of the legislature, a bill that was signed by the governor, and the study was prepared by the leading academics at Cal State Sacramento to determine what the regulatory cost burden is for California. What they discovered was $492 billion a year. It translates into an enormous burden on business and on individuals. The individual cost in California is over $4,000 a year just from regulatory cost. That does not, by the way, include the cost of the off-road, on-road, or greenhouse gas regulations, because this is based on data from 2007. While your actions as a board are not the only basis for regulatory costs in the state, we have a super number of regulatory agencies here. We do ask that you become more conscious of these costs, more conscious of the decisions that you make and their effect on the environment and of the economy of California. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.